Right, we are live now, or as it says on the screen, it's showtime. So we'll wait for the audience to build up, and then we'll get cracking. So how are you keeping, Vicky?
Yeah, really well, really well. Great times to be alive. Interesting times to be alive, but definitely a time to reimagine, rethink. So yeah, I've been
Okay,
really enjoying it.
good. So I'm going to write that down. I'm going to ask what reimagine looks like in a second. So hi, Andy. Thanks for joining us today. Can you hear us and can you see us clearly, please? Oh, Edward Patrick Gilbert, thank you very much for joining us today from sunny Golders Green.
Okay.
Loretta, hi, nice of you to come on. I've already told Vicky all the tough questions are down to you. Okay, so when you go back into the office, when you see Vicky this afternoon, hopefully she won't give you too much grief. Hi, Shell, thanks for joining us again. Hi, Jim. Thanks for joining us from Perth. Scotland sunny today. Andrea, thanks very much for joining us again. Hi, Chris from South Coast. Thank you for joining us. We're both good. Sound and vision is good, or in Scotland, I'm not sure what that means, bro, but thank you. Andy, thanks, all good. Brilliant, thank you. Hi, Ellie. Thanks very much for joining us from Loughborough. Loretta, I'm not joking. You can say ha ha as much as you want, but it's all true. I'm going to get you into so much trouble now. You're never going to talk to me again. Oh, some person called Asad Riaz. I'm not sure who he is. He's come on. So, so, so hi, Asad. Thanks very much for joining us. Hi, Lucy. Nice to see you on here. Thanks very much for joining us. So please, we are joined by the most unbelievable lady, first lady in the state agency, Vicky. I know you're very modest, but I just want to read people your bio. So Vicky started with Location as a junior negotiator in 2006, and within a short time period became a top performing sales consultant in the company, taking over the role of branch manager in 2009. Vicky's exceptional ability is backed up by her infectious enthusiasm for people and property, and this led to Vicky becoming sales director and equity partner in 2012 for the award-winning agency called Location. You were best overall officer sales and lettings at the EA Masters. You were the best single office at the Negotiator Awards. Absolutely phenomenal, different achievement. I've had the absolute pleasure of being and doing some work with you and being in your incredible office and working with Assad and yourself and all your team. And it is definitely, I can totally understand why you won all those awards. I've also had the pleasure of you and Assad being in mastermind groups that I've been involved in. And your enthusiasm, your passion, that lovely smile of yours is just infectious. So thank you for joining me today. Sharka, thanks very much for joining. Assad, you're here to learn from two great people, so yourself and Vicky. So fantastic. So please share it, like it, get your friends involved, your colleagues involved, because this is going to be absolutely fantastic. So Vicky, that's just the nice warm-up introduction. I'm really grateful for you joining me. Really appreciate it. I know you've gone back to work. I know your time is really precious. So thank you. I'm really grateful. So first thing, what have you learned from the situation, COVID-19?
There's been loads to learn off the back of what's been happening, but it's definitely been a time where we've wanted to reimagine how we can do things. So we have sort of documented systems and processes for absolutely everything we do within the business. And it was just an opportunity to sit back, pause and go, okay, how could we do this better? And we quite often revisit processes and try and improve them. But a few things dawned on me this time around that I just thought to myself, why haven't we done it like this before? And a simple one to focus on that aspect is with the viewings and inquiries that are coming in. You know, we've been doing viewings with people that, if I'm honest, haven't been vetted very well from their first inquiry. We'll register them properly, we'll get as much information as possible, but would never ask for proof of funds or mortgage agreement in principle prior to booking the physical viewing. And just making, for example, that quick, effective tweak has meant that our conversion rates between viewings and offers has gone up exponentially. You're dealing with the right kind of people. And so we're taking our grading a lot more seriously now, and just focusing on the right people, not dismissing those that aren't, but adding them to a separate session. That means they still get contacted regularly, combined with a digital nurture program. But we're not having our team waste endless hours on the phones just trying to get viewings booked in with just anyone. So getting specific's been great. And there's, lots of things that we're kind of trying to reimagine.
Okay, so I love that word, reimagine. And also you put out a tweet yesterday, which was a great quote. Hi, Simon, thanks for joining us. Would you like to share that with us as well, and what you meant by it?
Today's tweet was, one can choose to go back towards safety or forward towards growth. And we're constantly talking comfort zones with our team. And if I'm honest, it's easy to retreat back to how we used to typically always do things. But if you have a different perspective and you look forward towards growth, you start looking at how you can do things differently and do things better. What I don't want us to do as a team is just retreat back and do things as we did, because that's the safe way. That's what we know. I think in times like this, it's important to be brave and courageous and do things differently. And again, reimagine how we can do it. So we've got to look forward towards growth rather than go backwards towards what we've always known and our comfort zone, so to speak.
Okay, so Andy Overman says loves that, and I absolutely love it as well. So how do you, that's quite a journey that you've gone on from starting as a junior negotiator to becoming an equity partner. We've got a lot of different people on here from, that are starting as a junior.
Yeah.
And actually we've got some more senior people who are CEOs and stuff. But tell us a little bit about your journey and what you learned on the way.
It's been an awesome journey, and I was really lucky to land myself within the business that I did, alongside people like Assad, and in the area that we were in as well. I feel like my personal value set is that of the community in which I work in. So I could instantly connect with my community, the people that I was dealing with, which was predominantly sort of, young mums with families. I don't currently have my own, but it was easy to sort of build connections and rapport with people. And I started really enjoying helping and adding value. So that was my thing from the start, is how can we add as much value to our customers, as much value to our community. And I just tried things a little bit differently. I was lucky to work with Assad, who sort of allowed me to go out there and make mistakes, and encouraged me to learn from it. So I wasn't too scared of making mistakes. So I did struggle with being a perfectionist and perfectionism. And I soon realized that perfection doesn't exist. Done is better than not done. So I think there was lots of trying to do things slightly differently, being brave, trying to be a bit radical. And I've always been somewhat of the maverick. So it was a journey of trials, trying something, making a mistake, falling down, learning from it, improving, and just massively focused on growth from the offset. We're massive readers and learners at the office. So everything that, I'll share with you and that you can see our agency and business done is things that we've learned from others, mainly. Some incredible books that I've encouraged other team members to read, that then come back to me and say, oh my God, it's so similar to what we have here. And I'm like, yeah, I kind of wish I made it all up, but I didn't. I learned it and I implemented it. So that's key, encouraging people to implement and do. It's easy to come up with the ideas, but you need people to be brave enough and vulnerable enough to put themselves out there and make it happen. So yeah, I've done all the roles, from a lettings neg, sales neg, lettings director, sales director, all the way up to MD. And I've made it a point of learning every aspect of the business. But now I've just got an incredible set of people that do phenomenal work for us, and they're now brave enough to say, hey, I've had this idea, could we try this? And it works, you know. So yeah. Ellie
Well,
said,
brilliant.
fabrics are the best, so thank you very much, girl. I believe so.
Hi Ian, thanks for joining us. And you know, Ellie said brilliant, taking action, and I want to come back to that. So just picking through what you said there, you know, and there's just, I can see why you're so successful just by listening to you. So you talk about reading a lot, you know, and I know Asad's a big reader as well. Hannah Scarlett, yes, Vicky.
Number one, she's brilliant.
Hannah, you got any tough questions to ask Vicky, please? Come on.
Go easy.
Give her an easy.
Go easy.
Let's not give her an easy ride. So so you talk about reading. What are the books that have really had a positive effect on you?
Oh, brilliant question. The top three, if we say top three, which I feel the lessons that we've learned from come through in everything that we do. Number one's got to be the 4 agreements. I think his name, the author's Don Miguel Ruiz. The 4 agreements are absolutely brilliant, and we try our best to live by these kind of principles. The second one is Principles by Ray Dalio. We've got a theme here. So the 4 agreements, principles, and the 7 habits of highly effective people. So just
Stephen Covey.
Yeah. So an example of how that will filter through in what you do, how you treat your team members and your clients is, for example, seek first to understand, then to be understood. One of the 7 habits. That is something that we genuinely, when listening to team members, clients, our priority is first to understand people's whys and stuff like that, and others. And that filters through massively. The 4 agreements, one of which is don't take things personally. That's crucial in this day and age. And if you seek first to understand, you typically won't take things personally. And Principles by Ray Dalio is just an absolutely incredible read. So it comes back to having sort of shared values and principles and vision that everybody can get behind and work with. So you take the emotion out of things, you know, and you deal with things sort of logically, but vulnerably and honestly. And I think that makes a huge difference in how you communicate with your community, with your clients, and with your staff, which is crucial.
Okay, I want to touch on community in a second, and I have the pleasure with Luke and Andy of having Asad as a guest on the Estate Agents podcast, and he was absolutely phenomenal, and he shared loads. And I would get everybody viewing this to go and find the podcast and listen to it, because again, Asad shares some brilliant tips. But one of the things I remember Asad talking about was he had a vision 5 years previously that you were going to be the number 1 agents in the UK, and that obviously came true, and you are the best. 4 years. Take it all back.
5 years. We just did it a little early, but that's what happens when you've got an awesome team sharing the same vision, you know, and all working towards it.
So how did you get that message, that vision across to all your team? You know, and I know you've got a fantastic culture there. I know, you know, I have the privilege of being in your branch, and what an incredible branch it is as well, and how welcoming it is. And I'm not the only person that said it. You know, I've seen comments from Nicola Brewer, the recruiter. I've seen comments from Amy at Sprift as well, just saying, wow, you know, this is the most incredible office, most incredible culture. You know, and all these people love working with you, you know, and I love working with you and Asad and the team because of it, and because of your attitude, and you're also infectious, and the enthusiasm is great, and the way that you want to make a difference. You know, we come on to community in a minute, but vision and getting all your team to, I suppose, buy into it. How do you manage that?
Another good question. We take a massive interest in our team. I just
want to say well done to Loretta, because all these questions are coming from her.
Yeah, she is brilliant. I see her comment. I did encourage her to read the 4 agreements. She did, and hopefully she took a lot of value from that. I know she loves it. But you've got to take an interest in your team on an individual level. We have our own vision boards, but we encouraged our team to do the same. And we made it as part of just a training session where everyone got together. You know, we've got some foam boards out, free reign on the printer, you know, print what you want, think about what you want and why. We've done some incredible work with Pete Wilkinson. He's been working with our business, as have you and Ian White, over the last kind of 4 or 5 years. And his 135 action plan has made a massive difference. So we're constantly building vision boards, visions, and we have the one collective vision as a business and as an office, and then the team have their own. So for me, understanding and using Loretta, for example, as a prime example, understanding why Loretta does what she does, what her why is, what her vision is, her personal and professional goals can allow me to support her in her own journey. Now, if I'm buying into her journey and what's important to her is important to me, then I think quite naturally your team will buy into your own because they're part of it. They're the core part of it. Without them, we have nothing. Our team are our business. And I'm sure you can tell from how I'm relaying it in your conversations with Asad, they are location. They're the ones that have created this phenomenal business and culture. We've facilitated it and supported it, but it has come from taking a massive interest in them on an individual level, encouraging them to learn and develop and grow and put them at the forefront of the business and brand. We're not led by fear and, oh, if we, you know, make Hannah Scott famous, which you watch one of her property videos and how she hasn't been snapped up is you know, by the BBC, for example, Miss Beanie. I'm shocked. But putting them at the forefront and supporting them and encouraging them makes all of the difference. So we're in this together, our team and us.
Brilliant. Absolutely love it. And you touched on training there. Mm-hmm. So your training, I think, is exceptional. How frequently, I mean, let's talk about pre-COVID and, you know, what your plan is going forward. But, you know, what is your training plan that you have with your team?
So the training plan in place is segmented into sort of different columns from a new starter, so from your launch program straight through to lister and a boardroom program. So you show someone, given this is a meritocracy, what they'll need to do, which training programs they'll need to complete in order to proceed to becoming a lister, becoming a branch partner, you know, giving them, just as I was given the opportunity to become equity partner back in 2012, outlining that opportunity to our teammates from the off and having a clear and specific training program to facilitate getting them to that level, rather than just as and when, subject to achievements. What you'll end up finding is sometimes, and if I'm completely transparent, I feel like I was kind of put in that position a very long time ago when I took over the business. I probably ended up in that position because I was really good at selling. I'm really good at listing, and that's often where we kind of grab our managers from. But what leadership training have those people experienced? What, you know, lessons have they learned? And being able to train on that from early on, set a great example, but also train on leadership enables people to fast track their careers and learn a lot more than they would just by the mistakes that they'd be making day to day on the job.
Okay, so I know your training's also a bit of fun, and you know I'm a big fan of prospecting, as you know.
Yeah.
So you have certain little incentives to motivate and have your team. So when I was there, it was marbles, the marble challenge. So would you mind elaborating on that, and what's your reason why you do it?
Okay. So we have quarterly campaigns. They typically tend to be run for either 2 months or 3 months, subject to the campaign and the incentive at the end of it. But we'll choose, for example, prospects, so prospecting valuations, and offers or viewings, for example. We'll focus in on a couple of things that you want to achieve, explain to the team why we're focusing on these, and explaining why we want prospecting valuations is easy. And then we set challenges. So the marble jar was a good one, but for example, it would be a space race or a basketball challenge where our marketing manager, Jason, who's also incredible, will superimpose the team's face into different characters, and the staff room will be decorated as, you know, an internal competition. So the space race, we had planets all over the place. We had a black hole that if you went in there, you might stumble across the P45 as a little joke. But effectively, the teammates, every valuation that they book, go up a level. So say, for example, we targeted 20 in a month, just as a random number, then they'd, you know, sort of go along, and it sort of bred competition internally. Everybody wanted to win the challenge and win the incentive. And it just made it a bit more fun than just typically, you know, these are your targets and this is what you need to hit. And if you don't hit that, bringing in an element of fun into it and having a cool incentive, but an internal challenge that just raise some level of competition, just means that the team are, one, super engaged, find it fun, and there's nothing like seeing your face superimposed on something it absolutely shouldn't be. I had Gareth Southgate's, my head on Gareth Southgate's body during a cup challenge once, which I didn't take offence to, but you know, you've got to do what you got to do.
So what other training you touched on? You got leadership training, you've got listener training. So literally, is it going through, you know, you talked about launch training as well. Mm-hmm. You've got a particular program for everybody.
Yeah, and more specifics as well, sort of how best to register an applicant, right down to basics, understanding people's why, understanding the science of persuasion, understanding psychology, really delving into the things that are going to create the right neural pathways in people's brains to make the connections, to understand, and then transform the way they think, live and work. So yeah, on that scale, it comes down to skill-based training, attitude-based training, mindset training. Life coaching is great from Pete Wilkinson, and even the sessions they've had with you, Stephen, which, can I say, the team absolutely love. The feedback we've had from you has just been unbelievable. And same with Ian White and Pete Wilkinson. So it's not just us, but it's investing in those things that are going to make a massive difference.
Thank you. I'm blushing now.
Oh, bless, you should. I mentioned here in the comments the big day training, which I was about to move on to. We love every quarter handing it over to the team to get into sort of teams of 2 or 3 and spend a week building a training session to train the whole team on. And so we'll spend a big chunk of a day where our sort of teams will get together and train us. And then there'll be a winner at the end of it. And it's brilliant. Like, some of the things they've done has been incredible. It might be training on how to win friends and influence people, or it might be a sort of obstacle challenge where we're going through the office and one's blindfolded and one can't speak and one says the director. And it's just the things that we've got up to. I mean, I remember putting my hand, I didn't know what was happening because I was blindfolded. But in order to obtain another clue, I had to stick my hand in what ended up being gunk, like green gunk. But when I took the blindfold off, the gunk was in a bucket in a toilet. So, you know, like, oh God, like, but it was brilliant. And we laughed together, you know, and we learned together, and it makes a massive difference. Yeah.
Thank you, Ellie, for your kind words as well. Yeah. I'm doubly blushing now. So thank you. So the big day training, brilliant, and I love the fact that you're including everybody, you know, and they're coming up with the ideas as well, which is amazing, and you're all learning from each other. Yeah. And again, I'm going to share something now, and I hope I don't embarrass you, because you're uncomfortable doing this, aren't you?
Yeah.
So today you're actually out of your comfort zone, doing something that you really don't want to do.
Yeah.
So absolutely. I'm really grateful for that. So thank you.
You having me on, pushing me out of the comfort zone.
and that's what it's about. You know, it is pushing yourself. It's getting yourself out of your comfort zone. You know I'm not the most perfect Piers Morgan host and asking the most challenging questions, but the stuff you're sharing today is absolutely amazing. So thank you. I just want to come back to a couple of things that you said. And what does a good lister look like to you, and what does a good salesperson look like to you? Because you touched on those.
A good lister to me is someone who will seek first to understand why people are planning to move, what's most important to them out of the whole process. You know, is it the price they pay? Is it the fee? You know, what really, when you delve into the details and ask the right questions, is the reason for their move, because that will determine how you treat and handle that person moving forward. So a great lister will understand and ask the right questions and explain how we as a business and they as an individual add value during this process, and help the client understand what's crucial and imperative to know during the process. You know, they can't have it all, cheap, fast, and best price. So it's sort of explaining what strategy we're going to put in place in order to ensure that they walk away with the best price, how it works and why, and really just seeks to build an honest and genuine relationship based on the client and the individual that they're dealing with. You don't want your pitch to effectively just be the standard pitch that you give everybody, because everyone's absolutely different. So asking the right questions right at the beginning is key. And then always doing the right thing by that client. It's often I've advised people to take less money from someone versus someone who's prepared to pay a little bit more, just because you know that they're the right person to proceed with. Some people care who ends up buying their home, some people don't. But our priority is actually making sure it goes through and protecting our clients, our buyers and our sellers, from any possibility of a fall through or things coming up in the long run that we were unaware of. So doing their due diligence, listening, and understanding they've got two of these and one of these.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. I love the fact that you keep on coming back to a lot more than three things, but seek first to understand. Mm-hmm. You keep on mentioning that, which is, I think, one of the habits from Stephen Covey. Mm-hmm. You keep on talking about the why, which is Simon Sinek book, and then you keep on talking about adding value. Mm-hmm. You know, and I love about adding value. Can you talk about what does adding value mean to you and your community and your customers in Stoke Newington and Hackney and around there? And just before, I'm going to give you time to think about that. So Andy says it doesn't show Vicky. You come across brilliantly. Shell, thanks for coming back. I'm sorry to hear you've just been made redundant. So let's try and help Shell. So Shell, write down on here where you are in the country as an agent, and let's try and help you back into agency. So we all want to help Shell. So let us know and we'll see what we can do for you. Some guy called Pete May, don't know who he is, says excellent content, great work, VB, and the thumb up. And then Ellie, do you have any ideas on how to calm arguments bickering within the office between staff? And I've most probably forgotten what question I asked you. So if we come back to that one and go back to the question I asked you, hopefully you'll remember it better than me.
You asked me how we add value to our clients and our community. And that is, we've never been afraid of giving things away, and the art of reciprocity. So giving without expecting anything back, naturally, just laws of the universe, will see you get back. I mean, I always say to the team, good givers are great getters. So one of our core values is we care and listen to the needs of our community. We have a massive issue in Hackney with a huge percentage, a horribly huge percentage of our community living underneath the poverty line. So we are a permanent drop-off point for Hackney Food Bank. We do constant deliveries to and from the food bank and regularly donate ourselves or match the donations. Things that really important within our community are really important to us. We've got involved and are continuously involved in different schooling programs, helping, underprivileged children locally. And we run, it's our 7th year, it will be our 7th year this year, the annual Winter Toy Appeal. So last year we raised 5,000 brand new toys for children living in poverty in Hackney.
Brilliant.
This spread across all of North and East London. We were reaching boroughs like Barnet, and it was really special. So for me, that's a value add to our community. Caring, listening to the needs, and helping wherever possible. So giving back is massive for us. And adding value with our clients is letting them in on, what goes into valuing a property, helping them understand how we analyze the comparables, what data we look at, explaining to them, because it is very often they'll be like, yeah, but I got valued so much higher by agent A who, charges 0.5%. And it's really important to help them understand how we've arrived at that figure, what we need to take into consideration and why, and again, remove any kind of emotion to it and just break it down for people. People aren't stupid. As soon as you explain it to them and it's not so much of a pitch, they can understand what you're doing, why you're doing it, and what tech and other products you can add to add value to that client, really increase drastically the audience size, the people that see it, thus the people that offer, and the price that they get. So it's just about explaining things effectively and honestly.
Brilliant, thank you. So apart from feeding them donuts, if we come back to this, and Ellie said she tried that, but they were all on a diet. How do you calm arguments, bickering within the office between staff, or is it all down to actually you've got a good, fantastic culture there, and you don't need to? And by the way, the donuts that they give at location, and all the food they provide is delicious. So.
Foodie. That's a really good question, Lee. And firstly, the focus needs to be on building a culture and a dynamic within the business where that doesn't happen. But it will. But things that we need to look at, and I'd love a little bit more detail, Ellie, in the notes, in the comments, if you don't mind. But for example, a change that we made a fair few years ago now, about 5 years ago, was how we pay our commission structure. We switched from individual for the central team at our hub to pooled commission. And we added an element where the higher your individual bankings are, the higher the commission you take from the kitty. But we changed it from our staff competing internally to competing with themselves first and foremost, which is how it should be, and our competition externally. So we took away a massive element of, yeah, but that's my buyer, or I spoke to them first, and the arguments that can derive from that kind of internal competition, which I think if you get it right, doesn't need to be there. Our competition are the people out there and ourselves, not each other. So it's so important to focus massively on what kind of a culture you're developing within the business and what example you're setting. If you do have two individuals that are bickering, how I would personally handle it is speak to both individuals separately, but then taking from another phenomenal book, Extreme Ownership by Joko Willink, is get them in a room and discuss it openly. Try to lead the conversation in the way where we're steering it to avoid it getting personal or being too emotion-led. But that's from asking the right kind of questions. So there's some great stuff that you can read out there that will really help you with this. Delivering Happiness is a phenomenal book by Tony Hsieh, and Payoff is another great book in terms of how we, not just pay our staff, but incentivize them and what kind of culture we can build within a business. So it's long and short is you've got one solution of just extreme ownership, get them both in the same room and discuss things openly. But as a leader of a business, try to remove the things that are going to cause internal conflict. We've all got to be on the same team.
Okay, so office of 5 women and disagreements tend to be around how people are doing their job and differences of opinion.
That's a good point. Okay, so and that clarity really helps. Something that I learned from Peter Knight, I believe, is looking for third alternative. And I absolutely love that. He's brought it up a few times during my training with him. And one way you could get it across to them, Ellie, is, okay, so we've got your way of wanting to do things and this other person's way of wanting to do things. Can we come together to see if we can find a better third alternative? And maybe just switching up the conversation in that point. So obviously making them feel like my idea isn't bad and her idea isn't better. This isn't personal, but we need to come up with an even better way of doing these things, should diffuse the situation and make it so that you come up with an even better idea.
Fantastic advice. So just for Rick, 3 recommended books again, please. So one was 4 Agreements by Don Miguel
Ruiz.
Louise.
4 Agreements.
Principles by Ray Dalio, and 7 Habits of Highly Successful,
Highly effective.
Highly Effective People, Stephen Convey.
Okay. And then we'll chuck in Delivering Happiness by Tony Hsieh. Anyone out there that wants to build a great culture within their business, I'd start there. And I also love Delivering Happiness.
Fanatical Prospecting by Jeb Blunt. That's what you love.
Extreme Ownership, Ellie's read that, by the Navy SEALs. Is a phenomenal book. I highly recommend it, especially for leaders. Extreme Ownership's great. And Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, another Navy SEAL, who I highly recommend reading that too.
Unbelievable book. Yeah.
Yeah.
I listened to it. I think it's about a 14-hour book, and I listened to it on audio for 3 days because I was absolutely glued to it. And I love his concept of the cookie jar. So, you know, if every time you do something amazing, just put it in that cookie jar. And every time you're feeling, you know, it's been a really tough day today, maybe I haven't won that instruction, maybe I've lost the sale, go into that cookie jar, have a look and think, God, remember what you did and remember what you achieved, and it soon should bring you back into it. So Michelle, love, and thank you for joining us, Michelle, because I think you're traveling in your car from memory between appointments. So thanks very much. And Michelle loves the third alternative idea. And Ellie, I look into the other Navy SEALs books. And yes, thank you, Vicky, for phenomenal advice. So some questions for you that have been sent in, especially both from Loretta. What's the number one thing that makes location different from other agencies?
Good question. First and foremost, I'd have to say it's the team within the business. They're all absolutely incredible. And yes, it's been quite the struggle over the last 10, 15 years to build a phenomenal team, but we hire specifically cultural fit. It's not so much about your skill or knowledge or achievements to date or who you've previously worked with or for. It's, you know, what are your core values? What do you want to achieve? Your personal goals, and are you a cultural fit for the business? The training program that we have in place, we're confident enough can build a phenomenal agent out of anyone that has the right value set. So for us, it's hiring the right people and ensuring that the team's phenomenal, and they are. So they're our biggest asset, and they make location what it is. Another thing that has gone a very long way is having clear, documented systems and processes and a one way of doing things. So we have our LOA, and it's not left up to how individuals want to conduct their business. They understand there's this one way of doing things. Thankfully, we can now say that it's, you know, an award-winning way of doing things. And this is the process and the system you'll have to follow alongside the training program to be a world-class estate agent. So having the one way, anybody that hasn't got their systems and processes documented, do it and constantly review and improve them. That's part of our values. We look at every process that's older than 12 months and consider how we can improve it or reimagine it. So our one way and our team. So I'm going to give you 2 answers for that one.
Thank you. So now we're going to get very personal.
Oh.
What's it like to work with Assad?
Good question. Assad, it's easy. It's great. I know that I could have landed myself anywhere that wouldn't have let me do the somewhat, let's say, ballsy and outrageous things that I have pulled off over the years. It's sort of working alongside someone that gives you the freedom and flexibility to go out there and make mistakes, but encourages you to learn from them and communicates with you and understands what's important to you and what your why is, and then can build, a flexible life for you. Has just been incredibly empowering. Asad knows what my passions are. For example, traveling. He knows I like to travel a lot. So we've created a relationship where he knows, okay, Vicky's priority is this. How can we make it work so that Vicky has the freedom and flexibility to go away and travel as often as she wants to? And that's made a massive difference, having someone believe in me, encourage me, help me build a space that can be vulnerable, so that we can communicate honestly, taking from the extreme ownership side of things, and picks me up when I've fallen down a little bit, dusts me off and says, there's a better way, or what did you learn from it? It's been amazing. So that's the game changer. And that's relayed in how we treat all of our staff members.
And you know what's come across here and what I absolutely love? I know all your team's watching this, and just seeing the comments that are coming up from all of them. So Loretta saying an incredible directors. So you can see, the love that you've got from all your team, both of you on here, which demonstrates what an amazing culture and amazing business that you've got. See, you've even got Asad blushing today. You managed to get 2 men blushing in 40 minutes. Unbelievable. Well done, you. So I think it's just phenomenal what you're doing, and the culture that Asad and yourself have created there. It's absolutely phenomenal, and I just love reading all the comments that your colleagues, or your teammates, as you called them today, have said. And I love that. So I know you're big on visions.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you see location in the next 5 years? Because being number one, everybody's going to be gunning for you. And as you said, is you don't stay still. You're constantly refining, reimagining, changing things. Where does the next 5 years look for you?
I want to, well, we've got a vision of what we've built with location, and the position that we're currently in is we want to create a machine that will facilitate building great lives for people. I feel like the way that we've been doing it up until now, our traditional model, for example, the chat between sort of traditional and hybrid and online, and that has died down a lot recently. But if we're honest, we need a change in our industry. And there's a better way of doing things. And we've always looked onto the sort of Australian, American model and thought, they do it better. And there's a lot of hard work involved in a estate agency. And the majority of time, agents are giving up the majority of their time to work their backsides off, really long hours to build a great life for themselves, but have different channels that they need to jump through in order to make it happen. We have built the kind of business that now offers effectively a turnkey solution to give people some flexibility, and empower them to go and do what they're great at, i.e. go and list, but be backed up and supported by, I'd like to say, incredible marketing, the best technology available out there, and then incredible systems and processes, or the best in the game, let's hope, that will enable them to build incredible lives for themselves, but have the perfect work-life blend. I don't like balances. One's always got to give. So we want to, give people the freedom and flexibility, regardless of their position. If they're, a mum that's looking to get back into work, and doesn't want to go back into sort of part-time estate agency work that just won't be very fruitful, the opportunity to say, hey, plug in. We'll support you with all of the back end progression, marketing, technology, a client sort of success team, and run with it, and earn more and do less. And I think within 5 years, we will have hopefully hundreds of agents working as part of our business as almost partners, that have built incredible lives for themselves, and a half decent retirement pot as well.
And is this nationwide? Because I think you've got a few people on here that may want to start applying.
It is, absolutely, and we've already been speaking to a number of incredible people who are very interested. We've already trialled this by expanding into other locations that neighbour us virtually, and it has gone, sort of, touch wood, exceptionally well. I think we can do this all better, and I hope to inspire other businesses and agents and individuals to do the same. But I think we all now need to raise our standards, find a better, happier and healthier way of doing things without limitations. There's way too many limitations within our industry. There's so many individuals that are brilliant, that have really reached a ceiling, and are struggling to break through it. And hopefully we'll offer the perfect solution.
Okay. Well, if I was back doing agency, I know who I would want to be speaking to.
So, happy to have you, Stephen.
So, Sharka, I'm loving this interview. You've clearly built an amazing team and culture in your business. How amazing. Simon Monks, I agree. Aussie model. I'm no good with that, but that looks like a smiley face from Ellie for me. Is it a wink as well? I'm showing my age here. I don't understand what any of these are. So final question, and actually it's talking about people. So attracting the right talent can be challenging for big brands. How do you ensure you attract and mature the best people for location?
Another great question. So
well done, Loretta. Amazing questions. Thank you so much.
You have to walk the walk, not just say, we care about our team and we listen to their needs and wants. You have to walk the walk and really live and breathe these things. So understand that as leaders of a business, you work with your team, not the other way around. So that quite often with what we do gets filtered through our daily life at work, is effectively published on all of our social media channels. So people can see what we do for our team, the kind of culture we have within our agency, what fun we have, what we get up to. We're quite open about, our internal experiences and what, we get up to day to day. So if ever we've had an applicant come for an interview, more often than not, they would have had a look online, checked out our social media pages. And yes, they notice the awards and stuff, but what comes up more than most is, what we get up to and the culture we have. I think I can only count a couple of occasions over the last good chunk of years where we've offered someone a position and they've gone to work for someone else. So we've put ourselves in quite a strong position where anyone that comes to interview with us, when they sit down and start hearing our questions, which I've heard are dramatically different to what they typically get asked, and they notice that, okay, the environment's a little bit different here. These guys seem to be friendly and trying to get to know me and asking me funny questions, and it sets a different precedent altogether. So people often walk away from the interview thinking, I really want to work there. And it's because of the conversations that they have with myself and my senior team upon interviewing, the various processes that we go through, the fact that we make them do a psychometric test on their second interview. It's completely different. So I think through our social media challenges, our social media channels, and the marketing that we do and how we publish our sports days and stuff like that, we're attracting people because it seems like the kind of environment most would want to work in. We're not for everyone, and everyone isn't for us. But I think it makes it easier to attract the right kind of people and the best people when you offer so much and you care so much. So show it.
What's your view on personal brand then?
Personal brand, I think, is really powerful. And I want my team, and I encourage them and I push them to build incredible personal brands for themselves. It's not just because I'm camera shy that I don't get in front of the camera the majority of the time. That's got a big part to play in it, but I want them to. I want them to build incredible lives for themselves. And if that means I end up losing them to someone else at a later date, but they still go on to build that incredible life, well, that's all I've ever wanted. So I'm okay with that. If we're providing them with everything they need and more, they wouldn't want to leave us. So you can't be fear-led in that. Encourage personal brands. Why wouldn't you want the individuals working within your business to be known for how great they are, to get the constant recommendations and referrals and build it out? That's what happened to me. Now, it wasn't a digital personal brand. It was a sort of, I'd embedded myself into the community. I was there to help. I was, involved with all the local schools, the local charities. And then from people's experiences with me, because I cared and I wanted to do the best by everybody, it was just constant stream of recommendations and referrals. I think at this, the stage that we're at as a business, we could stop all marketing and still have a huge influx of recommendations and referrals. Now, we wouldn't do that, but it makes all the difference. And I'd say encourage it with your people, encourage them. If you don't want them to grow in that way, how the hell are they going to feel about themselves? So better leadership.
Okay, Vicky, I've taken up far too much of your time. You've been the most phenomenal, incredible guest. You've shared so much. I could carry on talking to you for the next 5 days because I love everything you and your business does.
Thank you.
And I love learning as well. And for me, success leaves clues. And you're an incredibly successful business. I love the fact that you always want to constantly improve. So you're always looking at your processes, you're always looking at the LL way, and you're asking yourself a simple question: what can we do better? How can we improve it? What's going to make a difference to all our customers? And it shows that you care, and the stuff that you do in the community is fantastic. The culture and the training that you give your staff is incredible. So it's been an absolute pleasure, and I'm so grateful for you giving your time. So thanks very much.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me on. It's been great. And guys, let's not forget about Shell. Let's help Shell out, who I think has just been made redundant. I'm sure we'll be able to work something out there. Let's get together.
Okay. Brilliant. There you go. Thank you. So thanks very much. Thank you everybody for watching today. I will post this up on YouTube a bit later with my help of my glamorous assistant, my son. See, the secrets are out. I'm still showing my age when it comes to technology as well. So again, if you're watching this on replay, thanks very much. For you, if you know anybody else that you would like to come on here and do a Facebook Live at Lunchtime Learning, please let me know. That'd be great. Vicky, thank you so much. Look at all the comments coming through. Some fella called Assad, you're getting a little round of applause. And that's to you, so back at you. So Harry is watching in Dorset, amazing stuff. Thank you to both of you. Simon, thank you both. Edward's fantastic, so many books to listen to. Ellie, Bill, God knows what that means, but thank you. And Andrea, thanks again for the great advice. And Loretta, your questions were amazing. So thank you all. Please, if you could be kind enough to share this with everybody, because what Vicky has shared is unbelievable and amazing. So thank you all, and have a productive Tuesday afternoon. Bye, everybody.
Yeah.